Hello everyone, my name is Coding Sheep, and welcome to the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity speedrun demonstration. This is not an official speedrun of Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, but rather a demonstration of what a speedrun could look like, at least with respect to what we currently have access to on the demo. The game will be run on easy difficulty, for obvious reasons, and voice and text language do not matter as we will be skipping all cutscenes. So, without further ado, let us get started. Ignore the title of the video, I saved my Elgato HD wrong. So, it's called The Champion's Ballad for me. Time would technically start with I cannot talk today, with saying yes to begin with these settings. Though there is no clear-cut point where a timer would finish, which is why I've decided not to include it. Of course, the game uses an automatic saving system, we know that. Or you could, I guess technically we could start right there instead, but either way. So, for those who are not aware, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is based on the Dynasty Warriors series of games, a very hack-and-slash series known for its combo system. Right there, first skip cutscene. So, you would think that in a game like Age of Calamity, we would be doing a lot of fighting. However, due to the nature of the two missions so far, we don't necessarily have to take outposts until we absolutely have to. As you can see, we're now jumped right into the action, and instead of doing the tutorial, we're going to start with probably what I would consider to be the movement tech of the game, which is Link's YYX combo, or his shield surf. Do note you can start this combo from a dash as well. The reason I say that this is our movement tech is that I think it's faster than dashing, which means that in terms of traversing the field, if you need to do a lot of that, then Link would be the go-to character. Also, as you can see, I am ignoring a lot of enemies already, and here's where I started testing where shield surfing was potentially faster than dashing. I didn't aim in the wrong direction. This isn't a perfectly optimized run, this is more of a demonstration of what could be done. Optimally, you would want to go for a flurry rush, however, you can still take out the moblin very easily. Yeah, and right there, Also, something that I only found out post-recording was that the shield combo also is very good for attacking weak points, as it does a lot of quick hits in succession. They may not do a lot of damage, however, that's not exactly a concern for weak points, it's just more how often can you hit it. Here's our first case where we actually have to do combat to take over an outpost, and it's done. Once again, we are skipping right past a lot of enemies with the goal of getting as many objectives done as fast as possible. In this case, for this first mission, while our first objective was to defeat that initial moblin, our second objective is to take over 3 outposts. The first 2 we will take over with Link, and the third one, which is on the right side of the minimap, will be taken over by Impa just due to proximity. However, we will be switching back to Link due to proximity with the final objective, which would be to defeat 3 moblins. Special attacks are very good at clearing, I believe it's Keep Guardian is the term? I might be wrong. And here we get access to our first 2 runes of the Sheikah Slate with bombs and cryonis, or remote bombs, you can call them whatever, they're basically bombs. We're not going to be using them until the game actually forces us to. If you ever see the game freeze with a button prompt, that actually means that it wants you to do that, or else it can't do, well, anything. In our case, we have R plus Y. We don't necessarily need to do the remote bombs. I don't think I used them here, though I probably did a bit later. There we go. And that's where it would force us to use remote bombs. Weak point smashes are very powerful, and if you can get one off on a dungeon keep enemy, then you can basically instantly kill them. Here we're using the shield surf to skip a lot of enemies and also a lot of fighting. In a casual playthrough, you're probably going to be doing a lot more of that. Here's where we're forced to use Cryonis, which is used against those spear enemies. The rule of thumb for all of the... Okay. The rule of thumb for all of these Sheikah runes is that when you're up against an enemy with a shield, you would want to use bombs against them. When you're against an enemy with a two-handed weapon that hits hard, such as, say, a sledgehammer or a greatsword, then you would want to use stasis once they start spinning. That's where I tried to see if I can get Link to go toward the final objective early by issuing orders. However, we can't do that just yet. Here's where we're playing as Impa. Ooh, where to start? So, messing around with the demo, Impa is probably the best in terms of combat. Her passive ability of gaining symbols and having those augment her attacks is very powerful, and her rune abilities are, well, also pretty good. However, in a speedrun sense, we will only be doing fighting if absolutely necessary. And actually, I just realized now, looking back to the video, that I could have not paid attention to this Fire Wiz robe and have gone straight to the next objective. In which case, I probably could have saved a solid minute. This video is, in total, 22 minutes long, and at this point I know that there's a good 2 minutes, give or take, where I could have saved time. But again, this is merely a demonstration. So ideally, once you take over Impa, you would be running to this third outpost and clearing it as fast as possible. Ideally by getting a lot of symbols at the same time, which you must use a strong attack to gather. You cannot just kill enemies and then get it by default. That's where I found out a nice thing, where if you tried to do ZR in the air, you would, it looked as though you pull out a bow. That might just be a default thing, but either way. You can completely ignore, breaking an enemy's weak point by just using a special ability. Makes this a bit easier. I was debating bringing Impa over to make fighting the moblins easier, however, because we are on easy mode, I decided to opt to switch to Link. Also because he is a lot closer to the enemies. Don't know what happened there. I think I probably got hit with an attack and it bounced off. But we're going to fight our last 3 moblins, which will be the last thing for the mission. Making use of the Cryonis rune to get that weak point out faster, and optimally, you'll want to always use a weak point smash against a larger enemy. Also, ideally, you would actually wait for them to make the first attack and then break their weak point there. I decided to do a dumb thing, which was go for the bomb, just simply because it pulls out the weak point faster and it makes it easier to break. And with our final moblin here, we're going to take advantage of the fact that it is, in fact, in water. That was a miss. That was a missed input. Also, Link's YX combo, which makes him airborne, actually makes you able to hit the moblin weak point, which is his head, which actually starts breaking his weak point faster. And here we are at the end of the first mission, and we are only about 10 minutes in. Again, because of that mistake of me focusing on the Fire Whiz rope earlier, it should have been more like 9 minutes. And I expect with time, as people learn this game, that time for this mission goes down. Now, as we play through the game, you're going to collect better weapons. There is a weapon fusing system. Because of how little combat we'll be doing, I think we can ignore that for a while until, likely until boss encounters, assuming that's a thing in this game. Side note, the artwork and music for this game are beautiful. If you're a casual player, I really encourage you to just explore. This game it's very faithful to Breath of the Wild in terms of a few things. A lot of the small things, such as shop prices, actually match exactly what they would be in Breath of the Wild, which is amazing. So, if you appreciate those small details, yeah. Also, we just skipped I'm gonna call it a, what was it? I'm trying to remember what the term is when... Interlude, there it is. An interlude dialogue from King Rome, basically narrating the story. We don't need any of that. It's not necessary. We're waiting for loading screens. And there we go. I originally switched to Impa just simply because I'm gonna be perfectly honest, it doesn't matter if you are Link or Impa during this section, just simply because you're gonna be waiting on Zelda to follow after you, and Zelda follows at her own running speed. She does not catch up based off of your speed, which means that shield surfing as Link doesn't really matter. At least in this beginning section. As you can see, the right dot on the minimap is Zelda, so I decided to waste some time by fighting an Ice Wizrobe, even though I probably should have just ran to the next outpost. Once again showing Impa's powerful. Collecting an Ice Rod, because I can. Yep. Oh, there's a chest there. Interesting. Once again, showing that Impa has wave clear. If you dash and press your standard attack button... If you dash and press your standard attack button, you do what's called a dash attack. In Link's case, it actually goes directly into a shield surf. In Impa's case, it's her hat throw. I should not have focused on this Bokoblin, just simply because Zelda was now waiting on us. Also, that was a really weird interaction of Magnesis. And also, as you noticed, Impa just completely destroyed his weak point. If Impa had Link's mobility, we would have zero reason to run Link. I will put it that way. There's a Guardian, and here's where we do what we're actually supposed to be doing, which is just running straight to where the next objective would be. Again, as a reminder, demonstration. And now, again, here's where it shows that Zelda does not care how fast you're going through. She runs at her own pace. Because at this point, we are literally waiting on her to get in here. As a side note, I believe it's actually kind of cute how Impa's idle pose gets smeared across all of her duplicates. The ticking sound was her passive with the symbols starting to wear off. Got a little overzealous and pressing the skip button.
It will be done.
And here's where I should have done a bit more of a optimization and just play Link through all of this. Just simply because his shield surfing is faster than standard running. Casually, you would likely be running through all these enemies, clearing them as you go, and then clearing this outpost when you get here. However, that is not necessary. You only need to clear an outpost if the game explicitly tells you to, or if clearing that outpost actually unlocks a path. Though, by that point, the game would usually tell you to. In this case... Good job, mate. In this case, clearing out the killing the moblin is... Oh, hiccups. Is the correct way to go. And actually, in all honesty, I probably could have gotten away without killing the moblin, just let it do its own thing. I mean, that would be, what, a solid 3 minutes saved over this? I've only seen most of this in hindsight, so... Unless it is absolutely required to kill the moblin. I don't know why I did that, I think I just wanted to have all 3 symbols. And here we could jump... Oh. So here's where I fudged up a little bit. In Breath of the Wild, the jump button defaults to X. However, on Age of Calamity, it's B. And there's the A button in between them, so... At this point, I should have switched to Link, and instead... Well, I should have switched to Link a bit earlier, and ran with him. Again, just simply because his shield surf goes pretty fast. If I had to guess, I would assume that the only other character who would have such a speed up would be Daruk, just simply by rolling around as a Goron. Of course, this is mere speculation. Normally, I would not have healed there if our goal was just to activate a Guardian. However, we do have to clear the upcoming outpost. And having that health instead of being on a quarter heart is just helpful all around. Now, the unfortunate thing about Link's Shield Surf is that it does not do a lot of damage. For weak points, again, as mentioned earlier, you don't necessarily care about that. However, in terms of wave clearing, it's kind of needed. So I decided to pull a strategy out of the previous Hyrule Warriors speedrun, which is to just spam spin attack. I activated a stasis early, even though I should have waited. However, the game just gives you a free one. And here's where I made my final mistake of demonstration. I don't know how I forgot about this, but I assumed that you had to continue this way to get to the next Guardian before I realized that it was back at the outpost camp. So again, 3-minute total time save I could have made on this entire demonstration, which would put it 19, 20 minutes, give or take. Yeah. The funny thing is, I did this demo this morning, and then tonight I decided to record the speedrun demonstration. So clearly, I have a fantastic memory. Here it's actually faster to switch to another character to lure the Guardian over. Just simply because there's no good jump-off point. Or rather, there is a jump-off point, however, it's faster to get Impa. And you'd be waiting on the Guardian to run after you anyway, so it wouldn't necessarily matter. I have no idea what that sound was. Though I guess technically if you wanted to bring Link down, that would be pretty decent just simply because he has the ability to parry and attack. At least I think he's the only one who can. I'd have to double check. Other thing about Impa. Yeah. It filled up that fast. And with that, that is the second level of the Age of Calamity demo. Technically, there are no more levels, however, another reason I decided to make this a demonstration is just simply because there's no clear part where you would call time. Because right after this, of course after a cutscene, we're introduced to Robbie and Pura. Yes, that is how her name is pronounced, not Pura. Or Pura. You're taken to another cutscene and then taken to the level select. Congratulations, you've unlocked Zelda, and again, just to help show that there is no clear point for calling time, I decided to just go to the nearest mission marker, which is for Rivali, just to confirm that, hey, you can't do this chapter yet, because you don't have the full game. So yeah. That is where I'm going to stop the video for now. The last 24 seconds I saved for voiceover, however, that is not necessary, as I am doing the voiceover regardless. So, that was the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity speedrun demonstration. Again, there were clear points where I could have done better. However, again, it's a demonstration of what a speedrun for this game could look like. Technically, if I loaded up my Switch right now, there are metrics that show basically KOs in regular battle and KOs in something else. I would assume that that would be a boss battle, and the only reason I say it's KOs in something else is because it is merely marked with question marks. However, given proximity, yeah. At this point, we would be unlocking weapon fusing, or saving that for a bit later in the run when it is more necessary. However, given how easily we have been able to defeat all the enemies at the current point, I don't know if that would be necessary. It depends on how long the game goes. So yeah. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will say I am currently working on a Google document on all characters, how they interact with the Sheikah runes, as well as their combos, at least with respect for what we have so far in the demo. And with that, I wish you all a good rest of your day. Goodbye.